Hello guys, in this section I want to talk about a scope in Python. Let's go and start with local scope. I want to define a simple function here, def my function, and simply in this function I want to define a variable with value of 10, and after that simply again print this variable. What will happen if I call this function and run my code? You can see I have the value of that variable in my output and in my terminal. So if I want to access to this variable outside of function, what will happen? Let's just simply print this outside of this function, outs function and the value of x. How it works? Let's save it and run it. As you can see, this error will return name x is not defined. Why is this happening? I defined the value of and variable of x here with the value of 10. So if you define a variable in a function, you won't have an access outside of that function. It means this variable, in this case x, is internal variable for this function, and you're just able to use it in this function. We are calling this local scope. It's local variable and you just can reuse it, for example print it, decrease it, or anything else inside of this function. So it's the meaning of the local scope. Let's go and talk about global scope here, and after that I will back to enclosed scope. I want to define a variable here with again x and value of 10 and define a new function, print x inside of this function, and also let's call this function here, and outside of function I just want to print x again. What will happen in this case? It won't return any error and print both cases in line 15 and line 17. What's happened here? This is defined as a global variable here outside of function. So it's outside of function, it's global, and we can use it in both places. I mean in outside of function or inside of function. Okay, and it won't return any error. Right now we know about global and local scopes and how we can define variables in that. Let's go and talk about enclosed scope. Let's assume we have a function, def my function. In that function I have a variable, for example m, and the value of that variable will be 9. Okay, and we have another function inside of this function, def, let me change the name of this function to first function. I want to define second function and simply print m here. Now we should call these functions, second function here, and also I should call the main function first function here. What will happen? What do you think? In the output we are getting the amount of m, or we are getting error. Let's run the code. As you can see, it won't return any error because in this case I want to make it simple. This function looking into this variable as as a global variable. Okay, so it's okay, and it can, for example, read the amount of the m. Now I want to add a variable here, add for example 1 to m variable. I mean, I want to increase it. I can simply do it with m plus equal 1, and in the output it should return 10 for us in this case. But if I run it, it says cannot access local variables and where it's not associated with a value. Okay, in this case it's thinking that when I write this line, line 13, it's thinking that m is an internal variable for the second function, and in this case it can find initial value for that, and it returns error. So I should say this function is this variable is non-local like this. In this case, it will identify m as a non-local variable. It goes to the anywhere else to find the m, the initial value of the m, and after that it will print it out. As you can see here, we have 10. The initial value of m is 9, and after that it increases it with this line and print m here. This is enclosed scope. So let's go and talk about another one that we have here, built-in scope. What are them? Something like, for example, if I want to know the length of some, for example, a string, length of hello. Okay, if I run this function, it will return 5 for us. This len that will return length of the function is built-in function, and you can use these built-in functions and built-in scopes functions in all the places, inside of function, outside of that, anywhere that we want. We can use this built-in function, something like print, something like length, and many others. So in this section I talked about scopes, about local, global, enclosed, and built-in scopes. These are very important because in many cases you will need to define your variables as a global variable to have access to that and able to edit and read the value of that anywhere in your code.